Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to this month's Stretch the Sketch. Thank you so much for watching. This month we are using a sketch from Juliana Michaels for Paper Bakery. I'm going to pop it up here in the corner so that you can follow along if you would like to. I started out with this cut file. I've had this cut file cut and ready to go for many months. Literally, probably like, I don't know, maybe even more than a year. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and cut it up. Normally, actually what I had originally thought was I use a lot of arrows when I do archery layouts, and I was going to use it as a complete background. But because I'm stretching the sketch to a double page layout, I decided to go ahead and cut it up. And I am going to do some archery photos. Big surprise there. I just find that the arrows lend themselves well to archery, and I have tons of archery photos, so that's why I am going to go ahead and use these particular arrows for archery. And you can see there the cut file, when it's cut up, you can easily tell that the arrows look different. Some are more open than others, and they on the one sheet they kind of like go back and forth between the two, but in this particular case I'm going to use the heavier ones at the bottom of the layout, the heavier ones being the ones with more white, and then I'm going to use the lighter ones at the top. They are all going to point towards the right, no problem. I believe, let's see, in the sketch they point the other direction. So you can make this layout your own and have it go either way. You could use something completely different from arrows. You could use maybe film strip type things. You could use some washi tape. You could use ribbon. You could use anything. So I had this arrow paper. I decided to cut that up into the strips to represent the strips that are behind the photos in the sketch. And I really like this paper. I'm just kind of bringing in the red, white, and blue, and there's some tan in there. There's a little bit of black in there. But I really like the colors on this, and that's why I decided to use this. That background paper is from P13, I believe. The other side has text on it, and I wasn't going to use the text, but I really love this navy blue that is kind of variegated, so it's got a lot of different texture and feel in the background. And then I took this light blue paper that I had a piece of scrap left over, and I decided to make my little strips that. So you can see that there's little strips on top of the larger strips in the sketch. So my little strips are the lighter blue. So again, as you saw there on the screen, the white papers are inked in red. The blue papers are all inked in black. And then I decided to go ahead and line things up with my trusty T-square ruler. I didn't want a downhill or an uphill, so I use my T-square ruler quite often. You could eyeball this. It wouldn't be a big deal. It doesn't have to be exact. You aren't going to see actually a ton. You're going to see it, but you're not going to see a ton of it once I put the photos down. So, you know, do what you will with it. I also did not back these cut files. I left them open, and I think they look just fine how they are with that navy blue behind. Now, if I had a patterned piece of paper behind them, I might have gone ahead and backed them because I think that would be distracting. But since this navy blue almost reads like a solid, it works out fine. Now in the sketch it does have the top two pieces of strips of paper closer together, so I went ahead and mirrored that as well. And they are all at different lengths in the sketch, so I went ahead and mirrored that as well. I tend to be somebody who follows the sketch fairly closely. I don't know if that's just my rule following nature or what, but I do tend to follow things as closely as I can, and I do like how it comes out, so it works for me. I'm just using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to go ahead and stick these down with all of those little narrow spots. I thought it would be too much of a pain to use my ATG gun, so I'm going to just do it with the liquid glue, and that works out. While I adhere those down, I'll tell you a little bit about Stretch the Sketch. If you haven't been following along, I think we're going to hit 3 years maybe in May. So we've been doing this for quite a while. We do it once a month on the third Sunday of the month. There are several of us that play along using the same sketch, and we either stretch it or shrink it. The only rule is you can't do a 12 by 12 because that is the size of sketch that we use. So you can do as far down to a card or even an embellishment cluster if you really wanted to, and you can go up to a double page or to 2 double pages or a double page with a 6 by 12 in the middle, however you want to do it. And I think it's a really fun series to watch because you get to see different ways of using the sketch, and you get to see different people's interpretation of the sketch. Several of us in the past few months have been doing double page layouts and using the same sketch. They all still come out different, and I love seeing that happen because it just is a great way of showing how our minds all work differently looking at the same thing. So it's a lot of fun. Now as I get these strips laid down, I am just putting them down so that I trim the innermost part off, and that gives me a good way of lining up how I want those little pieces sticking out over the end of the paper that's underneath them. Now if I cut them in advance, I may not cut them to the right length, so for me this is how it works best. Get them lined up on either the right or the left handmost side and trim the inside off. Back to a little bit more about the series. There are a bunch of us playing along like I mentioned. All of the links will be down below in the description box so you can find them there and you can follow along with everybody who's playing along each month. I have this stamp set I got off of Amazon. It does not have a brand on it. It just has a bunch of background textures, and so I am pulling out well, I pulled out the one that has like little arrows on it, but I don't end up using it, and I actually do cut the stamp apart because the arrows and the little dots are all connected, and same with the little squares, but I cut them apart because I didn't want all of those pieces together. I just wanted the arrows and not the dots and the little squares. But then I don't end up using the arrows. I end up using a sketchy scribble, and I am just going to stamp that that scribble, that sketchy scribble. I'm going to stamp that in a tone-on-tone navy blue. So you're going to see that here in just a few moments, but I wanted to get my photos and my embellishments down first so I know where to go ahead and use that stamp at. I backed my photos in that craft paper. It did have a little bit of an arrow design on it. I don't really care that it has any design on it because you can't really see that because only a little bit is peeking out behind the photos. But I find that that craft color worked really well because there's a lot of that craft color in the photos between the scouting uniforms, the hay bales, and the wood structures. It brought that color in really nicely. And then my embellishments also have that color in it, which I hadn't really planned when I backed my photos. It just so happened that they had a lot of those colors in it, so I decided to go ahead and use that. And you can see here I am stamping those arrows. They aren't going to show up because they are below that chipboard piece that is up in that corner. The chipboard piece did have a place to put like ribbon or something through, and so I just used some washi tape right there. So I do have this other stamp that I end up using. It is little plus marks, and if you watch Christina on at Redefined Creative, she does use a lot of plus marks. I don't know what stamp set she has, but the one that I have is called it's from Studio Light, Art by Marlene, and it says exclusive textures, and there's like 25 stamps in the set, and there are all kinds of little textures, whether they're dots or hearts or scribbles or lines or things like that, and this little plus sign is one of them. So I pulled that out, and you can see I'm also using that sketchy scribble mark in navy blue, and the color that I'm using there, I think it's called Juniper Mist from Catherine Pooler. So hopefully that helps you out. And then the plus marks I did use in just black. Now I went to my wood veneer box and I decided to pull out some wood in Oh, you can see right there, I stamped the sketchy piece over the washi tape and it didn't dry, so I was trying to dry it there because it's getting all over my hands. Anyway, I decided to pull out some wood veneer pieces and use those to finish off my embellishment clusters, along with some enamel dots that I will use in a few moments here. Now the wood embellishments, I normally just stick them down with liquid glue, but that little tree was kind of, it wasn't going to stick because it's on top of the washi tape. So I used a staple, and that wood veneer is super thin. I don't know where it came from, but I had a set of these 3 wood veneer trees that are really thin, and the staple worked really well. The other 2 pieces I just glued with liquid glue because they are on top of things that they would stick well to, but the washi tape and the liquid glue, it wasn't working really well. So here I am just trimming down my photo just a tad because I decided I wanted to get this 3x4 card in, and it just says loved this wonder, and that's where my journaling is going to be. You're not going to see my journaling on camera because I need to talk to my husband a little bit about this particular event. We did a lot of Cub Scout and Boy Scout events over the years, and I just want a little bit of clarity as to which one this was, if this was a camp he was running or if it was a camp he was just working at. I believe he was running the recreation side of camp this particular year because my daughter and I are both there, but I just wanted clarification. So you're not going to see the journaling on screen, but that's where the journaling is going to go. The photos are from 2007. It's a long time ago, and so I do need his help in remembering. Now my title, I am just doing that on a piece of white paper, and I am stamping with the Jen Scow stamps that I love so much. I don't remember the name of the stamp set. If you are interested in that, put it in the comments below and I'll look it up for you. But I just love this stamp set. I use it quite often. If I'm going to stamp a title, this is usually one of the first ones that I go to. My title is just Archery at Camp, and I apologize that I'm a little bit off screen there. I'm hoping that I do move that up and so you can see some of it. So this stamp set comes with a really thin font, and then it has little bars that you can stamp over the letters, and an oval to stamp inside of the C's and the O's and the G's. And so I am using some ink to stamp over that, and I'm going to use Catherine Pooler ink in Rockin' Red and then Something Borrowed, and then I will use Something Borrowed is blue, Rockin' Red is obviously red, and then to get the craft color I'm going to use some Gina K ink in Honey Mustard, and that's going to give that similar color to that card that says Wonder on it, and so it kind of ties everything together. I really like how this ends up looking. I hope that you end up liking how it looks as well. It was a fun page to put together. I really did enjoy the process on this one. And then I'm just trying to figure out where exactly I want to put that title because I kind of didn't really plan in advance for that. So I will move it around. And now I'm trying to decide, I do need to bring in that yellow color, so that's what I'm thinking about right there. And you can see I'm going to go ahead and stamp it into the center of the C's. When it dries, you can still see the C's. It looks like they're kind of washed out with the yellow, but that's only when it's wet because it does dry a little bit lighter. And that's where my title's going to go. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Go check out all of the other ladies that are playing along and give them a little bit of love as well. The close-ups are coming up in just a few moments here. I'm going to finish putting on some tan enamel dots just to bring in more of that kind of crafty tan color and to finish things off. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you don't mind. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.